So I deleted a 10-minute video because I spent too long waffling a heap of nonsense, being too open, because I think it's possible to be too open. It's possible to lay down so much that you make people wonder. It's possible to attempt to be so vulnerable that you make people think you're something else. So I spoke a 10-minute video in my slow motion, low tone, monotonous way, and said some raw things about myself and vulnerable things about myself that could lead people into some extreme views about me. And now I've just deleted it because I felt like it. Because I am starting to think more about what I communicate. And I, for one, am not going to allow people to jump to any of the wrong kinds of extreme conclusions about me because I've led them down a merry path or what have you. And no, it's not that I'm keeping any kind of secrets or being secretive or hiding or anything like that. But there is that important point to be made. Before one goes about, outing their own personal vulnerabilities, you need to be asking who the audience is that you're, dropping your guard in front of and dropping your vulnerabilities to. Who are the people that are going to pick you up? Who are the people that are listening to you? Who are the people you are allowing close audience? Who are those people? So we're in identifying business beliefs through triggers and emotions. And an example of an action step is when I start brainstorming how to share my gifts with the world through a conscious business, I feel tremendous anxiety and fear because I have a belief that my voice doesn't matter, and if I try to speak up, I will be rejected and I will fail because I was consistently told by my father that I was worthless. Probably snap for 90 odd 9.9% of us, somewhere along the lines. And there is a truism in saying that of all of the things we remember our parents as saying, we remember the negative ones the loudest. We probably have some memories of some of the nicer things that our parents and grandparents said to us, no doubt. But I think it's also true and so easy to hurt ourselves for years remembering the mad, bad and sad things that parents and peers said to us, communicated to us, made us, the way they made us feel, the way we felt on being around them. on hearing certain things they'd said or knowing of certain actions and behaviors they engaged in, you know. Um, True, yeah, of course it is. So we have to remember that, you know, we as individuals can do far better than we ever even realize. So let's really bring some of mine in. One of them is with Scottish people. The fact that I'm in Scotland. I've struggled as an Englishman in Scotland since I came to Scotland because there's been all this Sassenach business, white settler business, and I've been in pubs aplenty where I've been accosted in the men's loos by somebody threatening me because I'm a white man, you know, and my attitude at the time was usually always, listen, there ain't a thoroughbred amongst you. Don't come that with me. If you're looking for trouble, you've come to the right place. Step outside and I'll smash your face in. And usually those people have backed off. They've usually gone, no, it's all right. I was on it. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. What they don't realise, one of the things they don't realise is that actually this also happens for people from other parts of Europe, you know, Ukrainians, Russians, Polish people, Filipinos as well as English, is that when this is a general thing, this north-south divide is a general thing because the people in the north have had a battle with the people in the south many centuries ago. And there's blame and guilt and stuff thrown both sides, both ways. It's all too easy for companies to keep the jobs for their own offspring, for their own families. And here's one. It's no longer 20 years ago, it's now 35 years ago. 35 years ago, when I first came to Scotland, I was feeling that certain things were unfair. It was unfair how a person who made the effort to be the right person for the job didn't get the job. The job often went to the Scots business owner's own niece or nephew, even though that person might not be right for the job, you know, just to keep it in the family. Okay, now here's one. Now, 35 years later, I understand. I've come full circle. Now I am the master. Again. I understand. Because who am I going to give my business empire to? Not the person that's right for the job. I'm going to give it to my kids for them to squander any way they feel like. You know? Because once I've made my business empire, it's all for the money after all. Is it? Am I doing this all for the money? Is that what this is about? Is that what businesses, generally speaking, are about? There's a question. Okay. So in keeping the jobs for members of your own family, rather than thinking of the longevity of the business and choosing people who will take that business into a long and prosperous future, for the business as a business, for the business as a concern, as a venture, you're going to keep that job within the family. to squander as they see fit. So, 35 years later, I understand. Just to say that I've been at one end of the understanding and at the other end of the understanding, you know. Um, there was a funny poster on Facebook not so long ago that said if you lived your life according to the name of a book or a movie, what would it be? And I said Gulliver's Travels. No, not Gulliver. Gullible. Gulliver's Travels. Okay. Um, because an answer to what I'm saying just now is this. An answer to this whole question of being at one end of a lesson and then 35 years later understanding that and being at the other end of that very same lesson. I'm still not much further along the path to the thing that I have wished for that 35 years. My business still isn't going and still isn't making me very wealthy. So, to what avail is starting off at one end of that lesson and being at the other end of that lesson? To what avail here is that wisdom? To what personal benefit or wealth is this little tidbit of wisdom? That's a question. If I'm no further forward in having the wealth of the business that I wished for 35 years ago, that still isn't off the ground yet because I've struggled in the survival level on the ladder. So there's one of mine. It's a thing about the racism that I've known in Scotland and the racism that every one of my friends, my missus is Filipina, and she's certainly known it. She's certainly known hellish treatment, hellish racism. And some of these people aren't even Scottish. Some of these people don't deserve themselves to be called Scottish. Some of these people have only lived here a few years. I had another argument with a young dude at, I went to college as a mature student. I was 45? Did a building course in brickwork and plumbing, joinery and home electrics. And had a young dude, he must have been about 19 maybe, try me on. He gave me a dirty look in the canteen and commanded me to go buy him a cup of coffee. So I told him to fuck off. And then he said, lend me a couple of quid. And I said, who the fuck do you think you're speaking to? Fuck right off. But as it transpires, I did in the end, after we were speaking, because I put him in his place firmly. And then he started giving me racist abuse in front of the rest of the class. Not the same day, but as time progressed. So I asked for my £2 back, and he refused to give it, so I shamed him in front of the whole class. The tutor raised his voice at me and told me I was out of order, and I said, I don't care. I do not care. I am not going to be the victim of somebody else raising their voice at me. and of certainly of racism, because I've lived in Scotland 35 years. This boy's only 18. I've lived in Scotland longer than he's been alive. You know, I'm not possessive about Scotland. I'm not particularly patriotic in any way, shape, or form, not to any country. I willfully do not believe in patriotism. I willfully stand against patriotism. Get it out of my fridge. In the same manner, I do not and will not tolerate racism or any ism. And yeah, I'd tell somebody to fuck off if I needed to. I don't give a damn what people think of me when it comes down to it. So there's one of mine. It's the Scottish thing. It's the racist thing. It's the aggressive thing. You know, they like to growl and you know, curse and you know, single people out for a certain type of treatment. I'm not talking about all of them. There's lovely people here in Scotland. It's a beautiful country, but there's an undercurrent. You know, I've heard this from other people as well. There can be an undercurrent. Okay, I handle it in my own way. You know. So dismissiveness is another one of my big bugbears. Now, is one could say, you know, you could point your finger in my face and you could say, you only care about dismissiveness because you're dismissive. You know, and sure, you'd put me to the punch there, sure. Because I don't say that to people. I don't actually say, you have an issue with this because this is you. I don't do that to people. Okay? So if you want to say to me, you only have an issue with dismissiveness because you're dismissive, because you have an attitude, mate. Sure, okay, that's fair enough. What is that, Jace? You could have an argument in an empty room, you could, mate. What is that? I've got my white jacket on today. Am I out of order in speaking the way I speak? Am I out of order? Because you're asking us to be personal with a view that that might be personable. And I'm probably going to delete this particular video as well, because I'm probably going to keep doing this until I get it perfect. But in asking these kind of questions here, I feel anxiety and fear, because I believe that such and such like or don't like, and I'm at 20 minutes already, and I don't want to make this too long. You know, do I believe that the Scots are out to get me? No. And even if I did, I'd do something about it. I'd go hunting for Scots. I'd go out looking for fights if I thought that was the case. I'd go out hunting for fights. I'd go banging on doors. if I thought that was the case, because I don't have any fear of violence. I'm not violent, not in the least, but I refuse to kowtow to it. And I'm the sort that would challenge the devil if it came to it. Even if there was a cat in hell's chance of me winning. There's still a cat in hell's chance. So you're asking us to be vulnerable, and yeah, I'm sitting here in front of this camera and I'm spilling some information that hasn't always been comfortable in me, but I laugh it off. I have a wry sense of humour, so I handle myself. And that I'm hoping that in outing I can run it through the patterns and patternings that I also know through my studies into NLP and stuff, which is what my intention was in the first place anyway, before coming on to this particular program. I'm just biding my own sweet time. And I'm biding my own sweet time because I've got other things on my plate. For one, I want to get those done. And also because I want to do it to a specific timing. I want to practice these patternings to a specific timing. So, and I don't really want to give them too much store. Now, 22 minutes. I'm going to repeat again that this is why I think that you can give too much information. And in my case, one of the reasons I said earlier on, do I come across as an arrogant twat, is because in the way that I talk, in my talk, in the way that I've come to handle my life, with the wry humour that I sometimes have, and with the heartbreak and in the heartbreaking weeping that I've done almost every single day now for the last 3 years. In fact, every day for the last 3 years, there's been a moment where I've broken down. I spent somewhere between half an hour and an hour and a half, maybe, weeping because of the losses I've known. I'm coming through that now. I am actually coming through that. I've had a few deaths lately, including the head of the Wayfinders Wizards Association, that is a crying shame. That's in the last day or two, yesterday or today. Today I saw the news of it, but that's a couple of days old. What a crying shame. So that's 16 bereavements I've known in 3 years, as well as job loss and extreme ill health. You could say, no wonder I'm suffering with the extreme ill health with all those going on. To which I would question whether or not the ill health has come about as a result of these stresses. It's all part and parcel, but I don't think that having half the amount of hip cartilage I'm supposed to have and bone spurs and bone on bone, and something going on with my L4, and maybe my bones generally. I don't think that's as a result of, just as a result of the stresses I've known this past 3 years. I think there's more going on. So that's 25 minutes. I'm gonna have to think about this and maybe put a more succinct one together. But what I might do is I might just upload this onto Facebook anyway, into the group, and just to see. I think that's what I'll do. Like with the other ones, I've the first week's lessons, I had one video that was over an hour. It was about an hour and 10 minutes. And one of the things that I said was, I'm sure people are just bored of it. That doesn't bother me. I'm not in the least bit perturbed or insulted in any way, shape or form whatsoever if people are bored with it. I'm not. It doesn't put me up nor down one way or the other. And I'm not bothered if people want to be insulting. I don't think my feelings will be hurt in any way, shape or form. I don't think so. I might get a bit like antsy and defensive and go, yeah, fuck off. But I wouldn't get upset. I'm just going to throw it on there for the sake of having my face and having some familiarity and having some screen presence, having some web presence, and that's all it's about. I'm not holding strong and fast to any particular angle or view. I think I'm going to go away and think about this thing and mark down the two things: the Scottish that I have an issue with, and the dismissiveness, and to think about maybe why do I need to think about why? I think about why I'm even doing this exercise. Maybe, you know, does one really need to do this exercise in order to have a business? Because what some of us are learning and what some of us are actually saying as well is that business is about getting your face out there. Make videos. That's the answer to business. Make videos every day. Make videos. Make another video. If you've got something to say, make another video. If you've just thought something, make another video. If the sun is rising, make a video. If there's a butterfly, make a video. If you see pepper on the table, make a video. If there's tomato ketchup, make a video. If there's a book anywhere near you, make a video. If you've seen a great movie, make a video. If you've got a point, make a video. There's the point. Make a video. Make videos. Just make videos. And some people will like you and some people won't. Most of the time, to begin with, you'll only hear from the ones that don't, because the ones that do just accept you and you never hear from them. But the ones that don't make a big noise. So you're going to get hated and slated. Okay? But keep going. Just keep going. Make your videos. All right, that's half an hour. I'm just going to press stop and then I'm going to upload it. Okay, cheers.